Alligator Alcatraz, only been open for a week and it's already disgusting, wretched, horrible place for any human. And I don't care if you're a hardened criminal or not, it is absolutely disgusting what we're doing. It's a fucking concentration camp and we all know it. Um, Representative Maxwell Frost was at Alligator Auschwitz earlier today. I mean, earlier yesterday, my apologies. And he gives an interesting report on it. Interesting meaning disgusting, but let's hear what he's got to say.
When they showed us the cages, they wouldn't let us go into the actual tent. They let us stand at the door. They opened the door. There was about six security guards standing there, kind of pushing us back, but we could see in and we could hear everybody. And when those doors opened, what I saw made my heart sink. I saw 32 people per cage, about six cages in the one tent. I saw a lot of people, young men who looked like me and people who were my age. People were yelling, help me, help me. I heard in the back someone say, I'm a US citizen. And
Jesus.
as we were walking away, they started chanting, leave it that freedom. Um, and looking into these cages, you could see, of course, it was warm and hot within the tent. People were sweating. Some people had taken off the top of their clothing because it was just so hot. Some of them were drenched in sweat. The food we saw is not enough food. They're being fed essentially a small sandwich and a bag of chips. And not just that, but the conditions outside, of course, it's blazing hot. And the fact that into the cage comes from the toilet. Number one, not everyone's going to be able to drink as much water as they'd like to because of that inconvenience, but also it's gross and it's this.
I don't know if you heard that, but the water, the sink, and the toilet is a one piece thing. So all of the bathrooming that 32 people in one cage have to do and the water all comes from the same place. I can't even imagine. I cannot imagine.
Disgusting, and this is where people are being held. I came to this tour with a binder full of questions. There are questions in this binder. I have accounts of people in the detention facility in the binder. And I also have some names of a few constituents or people who have family members that are constituents. And my intention was to go speak with these individuals. We were denied the ability to speak with any of the detainees there, but I was told by the staff with notice I would be able to meet with whomever I want to meet with. Another question that many local organizers, lawyers, and family had: under what authority are they keeping people in this facility? Is it a state facility or is it a federal facility? We had state legislators go to the internment camp last week and they were denied entry, essentially being told, well, it's more of a federal facility. We were planning an unannounced trip this morning, and somehow the state caught wind of it and decided to invite us to come instead. We know that.
Yeah, this is supposed to be a state run facility run by Ron DeSantis. But, obviously he goes there. They're supposed to be going there, they're be allowed to go there unannounced. And that was the plan. They were just going to show up there. But word got out and Ron DeSantis does a preemptive, well, why don't you come over tomorrow? And so they took him up on the offer. And it seems like as wretched as this place was, it was still prepped and cleaned. So when Maxwell Frost and the other representatives showed up, that it would look better than what it actually is. And according to Maxwell Frost, it's still disgusting.
The reason they invited us is because they wanted it to be an announced trip so they could clean stuff up. But I can tell you, even though they had time to get stuff together and clean things up and make the conditions quote unquote better, the cage is still a cage. The conditions are still bad. They did not allow us to look at the they are using right now. They brought us into a brand new cage that they had just built that they're hoping they can get online in the next week. But they wouldn't let us go into to see the actual toilets that the people are using. When I asked why, they said, well, it's to keep us safe. But they were in the cage. And I think it's because they didn't want us to see the abhorrent condition of the toilets and the bathrooms. We've heard reports even from constituents that are in the facility that even though there's three bathrooms, oftentimes only one of the toilet is working. We've heard multiple reports of backup of the toilets being backed up and feces being essentially sprayed everywhere.
Yeah, I
So,
heard that
all in
too.
all, every Floridian should be ashamed of the fact that our taxpayer money is being used for this internment camp where people are in horrible conditions in the hot Florida sun. And we said this before I said it before I got there, and I say it even louder now. The other thing I'll say is we were able to ascertain that essentially this is a facility that is operated by the state. The state is using their Office of Emergency Management to run the whole operation. This is the same office and staff that are supposed to help us when there's a hurricane. And we're in hurricane season now. It's a gross misuse of resources to dehumanize immigrants and dehumanize people who were all Latino men in this facility.
I mean, that's what they were saying the other day, that a lot of FEMA money, which Donald Trump wants to get rid of, genius idea, is now being redirected to ICE and the Department of Homeland Security. It's pretty disgusting. It's pretty disgusting. Over the weekend, Fascist Barbie, Kristi Noem, is on Meet the Press, and she's questioned about the facility as well.
Reaction, a federal judge in Los Angeles temporarily blocked ICE raids in Southern California, saying that federal agents cannot target people without reasonable suspicion and using factors like skin color, the language that people speak.
Tom Homan was talking about this the other day. I believe he was on Fox News, and he was talking about it as well. He said that he's using a myriad of factors, articulable facts, except he's articulable facts because he's got a fucking mouthful of marbles, and he's racist Shrek. But he was asked what were the factors involved in him and ICE agents picking up people, and it was, where they work, if they're standing outside of a Home Depot, if they're brown, if they have Spanish, if they have Latin accents, what have you. So it's just basic racial profiling.
You comply with the judge's order?
Absolutely, but we've never done that. We've never done that. What we have always done is built a case and done investigative work in who we go after and who.
Remember that guy that a couple of weeks ago just out there doing landscaping out in front of an IHOP, and then a half a dozen ICE agents just grab him, drops his weed whacker. It's in the front of the frame, and they're beating the shit out of him on the street. And then they, bloody, bruised, and thrown in the back of a van. No due process, and who knows where he is. And all three of his sons are United States Marines. He's been in the country for 30 years. Yeah, they've never done anything like that. Never. Right?
We target. And so this judge is ridiculous in the fact that he put forward a decision like this. We will appeal it and we will win it, because over and over again, when our ICE officers are out there getting the worst of the worst off of our streets, they're using the investigative backgrounds and information that they have from either
the worst of the worst, landscapers and mothers and children. Yeah, the worst, absolutely. And I'm not saying that if you're grabbing a young man that makes it any better. I have yet to see any of these people stand before a judge. It's just grab you off the street and take you away. And whether or not you could be a citizen and you could be taken away. In a minute, we're going to go to Tom Homan, and he's going to articulate that fact pretty well.
criminal records or what they have for charges, or individuals who are breaking our federal laws that need to be brought to justice.
Madam Secretary, Tom Homan, the White House Borders Czar, said as much this week. He told Fox News that physical appearance was a factor in detaining individuals. What do you say to those who hear that and say that is racial profiling?
The facts of how we do our investigations and our casework and what ICE officers are doing today is they're going out there and building a case just like other law enforcement officers do. They're going out there and doing the investigative work, gathering the information to decide how we're going to run our ops and how we're going to...
You've seen the videos. Is that what it looks like? They just randomly show up at a car wash or a Home Depot, you know, just going after day laborers. Is that their investigation? Is that their research?
Target individuals, and overwhelmingly, people have heard the president say over and over again about how important it is that we continue to go after the worst of the worst. This week, we've got murderers off the street, rapists, child pedophiles. If you look at that marijuana grow facility that we recently just did an operation on, over 300.
Yeah, one person died. He was running away, and he fell off of something and fell and broke his neck. Dead guy. Been working at that farm for over a dozen years. Been in the country for 20 years. Now he's dead. Murderers, rapists, huh?
119 individuals were brought into custody, and 14 unaccompanied children that are children that means that they don't have their parents with them. They're working in a facility where they could be exploited, trafficked, maybe sex trafficked, and then we've got individuals there who are working at the same facility.
How is that any different than just locking up those people? You know, what are you going to do with the kids? Are they going to have their own kid facility? I mean, seriously, what are you going to do with those kids? I mean, during Donald Trump's first term, I don't remember him having a whole lot of compassion for little children. They ended up in their own cages.
Who are creating, distributing, and taking advantage of children for child pornography. So this is something that President Trump has taken.
Please, honey, don't be talking about child pornography. With all the Epstein stuff going on, give me a fucking break.
Seriously, is protecting children while we're doing
Couple
this.
more here, if we can get them in. Florida lawmakers visited the migrant detention center in Florida, which your administration has dubbed Alligator Alcatraz. Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz said that the conditions there are inhumane. More than 30 people stuffed into a jail cell. She said they get their drinking water and they brush their teeth from the same place where they go to the bathroom. Madam Secretary, what do you say to these lawmakers who argue this is not humane treatment of individuals, of humans?
Well, our detention centers at the federal level are held to a higher standard than most.
I thought it was a state facility. And she's going to ramble on about, oh, well, this is the regular standard for all federal detention facilities. I'd say we need to bring up those standards a little bit. If you're drinking, brushing your teeth, and taking a shit in the same spot, come on.
Local or state centers and even federal prisons, the standards are extremely high. Now, this is a state-run facility at Alligator
More
Alcatraz,
than 30
but they have
people stuffed into a jail
they have
cell?
a contrast. Well, I've been there and I've seen these rooms that they are in. I wouldn't call them jail cells. I would call them a facility where they are held and that are.
I call them a cage because that's what it looks like. It looks like a fucking kennel. It looks like a dog kennel, just fenced in beds, 32 to a cage. Awesome. Sounds fantastic. Sounds really hospitable.
Secure facilities, but are held to the highest levels of what the federal government requires for detention facilities.
God damn, man. I just want to smack the fucking Botox off her fucking face. This is her saying that, oh, look at all the guns and the drugs and all the shit that we collected. Yeah, let's hear this bit of bullshit. She's getting questioned by a reporter in the audience.
Trex, I've heard that it's been smooth.
Reports that Florida hadn't necessarily applied for the reimbursements yet.
Oh, they will. They will. We've got a fantastic partnership here in Florida, and I've been so grateful for the governor and his leadership in this facility. 1,000-bed facility can continue to be expanded. We're looking at other locations as well. We've had several other states that are actually using Alligator Alcatraz as a model for.
Yes, they're talking about 5 more states, 5 more red states, because blue states would not have concentration camps. But now she's talking about other red states are going, ooh, I've got an empty lot. Do you want to put up some tents for us, and we can start shoving in day laborers, migrants, mothers and children? Sure, man, we got space for them.
How they can partner with us as well.
What are some of those? Are there other states?
I'm having ongoing conversations with 5 other governors about facilities that they may have. I haven't asked those governors if I can share their names, but announcements will be coming soon. As you all know, we need to double our capacity in detention beds because we need to facilitate getting people out of this country as fast as possible.
I mean, God, this is really pressing. We really desperately need to get these people off the streets and into these private beds. Yes, we absolutely need to. I mean, healthcare, natural disasters, raising the minimum wage, none of that shit. You don't need any of that shit. We need beds to stuff all of the people that we snatch off the street without any due process.
And to sustain our operations. But those governors have been fantastic. I will tell you, they are all Republicans. So I would challenge some Democrats to start taking.
Yeah. You didn't have to tell me that those governors were Republican governors. And oh, yes, blue states, get off your ass, man. We need prison facilities in your states, too. Jesus. Here's Tom Homan being asked about his, the standards for snatching somebody up without any due process.
Let's talk about that reasonable suspicion and what it actually means on the ground when it comes to ICE detaining people. You said in an interview this week that reasonable suspicion can be based on, quote, the location, their occupation, their physical appearance, their actions. What about an individual's physical appearance would give immigration agents, quote, reasonable suspicion that they might be in the U.S. illegally?
Well, first of all, let me be clear. Physical description can't be the sole factor to give you reasonable suspicion.
Any one of those that she just gave, they're all bad. They're all bad. How about actual investigating? How about getting those criminals off the street by actually doing some investigations. The thing that he's not telling you, or Kristi Noem's not telling you, is that the criminals are easy to get because they're already locked up in prison. If you want to deport them to their own countries, I guess fine. Honestly, if they committed a crime on American soil and they were judged by an American judge, they can be housed in American prisons. I mean, that's what due process is supposed to be about. But, you know, he's saying that it can't just be one of those things. It needs to be all of those things. Their accent, where they're working, what they look like. It all sounds like fucking stop and frisk, which is completely against the Fourth Amendment, illegal search and seizure. But whatever, you know, it's a new day. Laws don't really matter.
I said in an interview, it's articulable facts with an S. So appearance can be just one. For instance, if someone has an MS-13 tattoo on their face, that may be one factor to add to other factors to raise.
Yeah, was that guy doing lawn maintenance in front of the IHOP? Did he have MS-13 on his face? I'm pretty sure he didn't.
Reason suspicion. I want to be clear about that again because my words are taken out of context. Physical description cannot be the sole reason to detain and question somebody. That can't be the sole reason to raise reasonable suspicion.
Give me some other ones.
It's a myriad of factors, and I can sit here for the next half hour and give you all the factors.
Well, you can just do it
officer,
now.
Every situation is different. But I can tell you this: every ICE officer goes through Fourth Amendment training every 6 months.
Oh, yeah.
And reminded what their authorities are for arrest, detention, and questioning. So
They need to go back to class, honey. I've seen the videos. It does not look like they had any Fourth Amendment training, whatever the fuck that is.
officers are very well trained, so I look forward to DOJ litigating this judge's decision because I think she's making a decision without knowing what that officer knows when they get out of that vehicle to question somebody.
So what that judge, same judge in the case, said is that an individual's race or ethnicity, the language they speak or their accent, their presence at a particular location like a bus stop or a work site, or the type of work they do does not qualify as reasonable suspicion.
Oh, and by the way, we have already deported over 80 U.S. citizens. They've already been deported. We've arrested thousands of U.S. citizens. They call it collateral arrests because we're getting a whole bunch of people. And, you know, sometimes an American's going to get arrested. It's just the way it is. I mean, they shouldn't be afraid, right? Shouldn't be afraid to go out. Just because you might get arrested, you know, if you happen to have all your paperwork on me, show me your papers. If you have your paperwork on you, then, you know, maybe we'll work it out and you won't get deported. But I just told you that over 80 Americans already, American citizens, have already been deported.
Well, like I said, these are factors that lead to reasonable suspicion. There's a myriad of factors. Every case is different. I'm not going to disagree with everything the judge has said because, you know, a location alone shouldn't have reasonable suspicion. It's a combination of articulable facts that an officer determines before he, detains somebody for a short period of time and questions them. So again, every case is different articulable facts for different people in different places. Yep. So I look forward to litigation. I think we will win this on appeal.
Okay, so obviously you're appealing, but until that happens, the administration will comply with the judge's order?
Yeah, I wonder who they're going to appeal it to. If it's the 5th District, then it'll probably go your way. She actually asked a follow-up to this, so.
The administration is never going to go against the judge's order. We'll litigate it, we'll win it, then we'll get back to doing what we're doing.
I just want to ask more broadly and a little bit of a different sort of question here. One thing I have heard over and over anecdotally is that people who are in the United States legally are scared about getting swept up in all of this because of the color of their skin, because they speak with.
Yeah, and keep in mind that nearly 500,000 Haitians that are in the country legally with legal status, Trump just revoked all that. That was just last week. So I guess they were legal and now they're not. I mean, if you can just have your legal status taken away from you like that.
An accent because of the location where they might be going. And they're not going out. They don't want to be detained by mistake, have their kids or themselves traumatized. Are you comfortable with that?
If they're in the country legally, they got no reason to be afraid. ICE is looking for those in the country legally, and we're still prioritizing public safety threats and national security threats. That's the priority. But like I said, you know, we do have collateral arrests in many areas because we're out looking.
You heard him. Collateral arrests. So we're arresting a whole bunch of people, and if you happen to get swept up in it and you're legally here or you're a citizen, you know, sucks to suck. Here's that that cannabis farm in California. And by the way, in California, cannabis is legal. But this is a disabled veteran who is a U.S. citizen, was taken during the Camarillo immigrant raid. Concerned family members are desperate for answers after they say a disabled U.S. veteran citizen was taken during a federal immigration raid at cannabis farm in Camarillo. George Reyes, 25, works security guard, Glass House Farms, where the raid took place on Thursday. His sister and wife told Eyewitness News that he was trying to leave the area as tensions escalated between federal agents and protesters. They say that a A1R7 footage, I guess that's, yeah, okay, of the scene, and were able to see his white vehicle. Quote, ICE thought he was probably part of the protest, but he wasn't. He was trying to reverse his car, and his sister, Destiny Yana, they broke his window, they pepper sprayed him, they grabbed him and threw him on the floor. Here, watch this.
Josh. Philip, just an extremely emotional scene here. The minute that we arrived outside Glass House Farms, we met a sister and a wife of a man who works as a security guard here, George Redis. He is a disabled U.S. veteran. He is a U.S. citizen, and they are desperately looking for him.
I mean, a disabled U.S. veteran, I mean, isn't that like the most revered person in America? You're a veteran and you got injured, you're disabled from your injury from being in the military. I mean, shouldn't we just be giving him all the praise in the world, you know, support our troops and all that bullshit?
Haven't heard anything about his whereabouts from yesterday. They do say that he was taken in the raid. We want to show you a picture of 25-year-old George Redis, a U.S. Army veteran who his family again says is disabled. They saw via Air 7 yesterday that he was trying to leave the scene in his white vehicle. Take a listen to what his sister and then his wife told us.
I thought he was probably part of the protest, and he wasn't. He was trying to reverse his car. They broke his window. They pepper sprayed him. They grabbed him, threw him on the floor. They detained him. His wife's been trying to call and ask where he is. They don't know where he is. Apparently, no one associates with nobody. So now we don't know what to do. We're just asking, just like, let my brother.
Yeah, it sounds like good Fourth Amendment training, right? You know, it sounds like you know, this collateral arrest stuff. I mean, here's the thing. Even if he is released, he's already gone through some bullshit ass trauma, been pepper sprayed, had his window broken. Who's going to fix that? Even if he's released like almost immediately, he's still gone through some bullshit that he didn't have to. None of this stuff has to happen.
Oh, he's a U.S. citizen. He didn't do anything wrong. He's a veteran disabled citizen. It says it on his car.
And I just want to know where he's at because I have not seen him. And I heard from him since yesterday. And I called LA and they keep saying that they're not going over there. And I just don't know where he's at. I've been up since 6 a.m. trying to call the sheriffs, the police department, Oxnard, Camarillo, Ventura, and I can't hear nothing. They say
nobody knows where he is. There's no due process. So how are you supposed to prove anything? Nobody's communicating with anybody or anyone. It's just a fucking free-for-all fascist festival. And all of these lunatics are just willy-nilly just taking random people off the street who are brown and have Latin accents. Does not seem to matter one way or the other. They're just trying to get their quota. 3,000 a day, right? Right, Stephen Miller? And look, here's the thing. This rhetoric is getting worse. They were saying that there is anywhere between 10 and 11 million, quote unquote, undocumented immigrants in the country. Most of those people already have like Social Security cards, because that's the only way that you can work in the country is you have some kind of Social Security card. You're not collecting on Social Security, but all of your pay is, taxed for Social Security. You don't get to collect any of that because you're not a U.S. citizen. But needless to say, the majority of these people have paperwork. They're waiting on their court case. They're trying to stand in front of a judge and plead their case so maybe they can stay in the country and continue to live the American dream. But that's 10, 11 million people. Then Donald Trump and Tom Homan inflated it to now it's 20 million people. Don't know where they got that number. Now we've got this guy. His name is Jack Posobiec. He's a right-wing moron. He's at the Turning Point USA thing in Tampa a couple of days ago, and he is yet again inflating the number even further.
I don't want to talk about that. I do want to talk about that because we've got a huge problem in this country, and I think it's been a problem for a long time. And the problem number one is 40 million illegal aliens that every single one needs to go home.
Now it's 40 million. 40 million. There are 60 to 65 million Latino people living in America. That's the total. We have like 330 million Americans, 330 million people living in the country. 65 million of them are Latino. And he's saying now 40 million people are illegal and they need to go. First of all, this guy's a complete moron. If you got rid of 40 million people, if you got rid of 4 million people, our economy would crash. You get rid of 40 million people, Jesus Christ, man. You have no idea the economic implications of all of that.
All of them need to go home.
By the way, just in case you wanted to know what a fascist sounds like,
and we need to look at the H-1Bs, we need to look at the H-2As and the H-2Bs and every single one of these as well, because why should we be bringing in foreign students and foreign workers to work in tech when there are American people who are out of work, when there are STEM graduates who can't get a job, and they're bringing in scab labor from overseas? It's disgusting, and we need to shut it down until the American people are made whole.
He's already got his brown pants on. All he needs is the brown shirt, and he would be completely resplendent in Nazi gear. Here's the next possible Republican candidate for president, old Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson, he is without a doubt, a good communicator on the right. Of course, I don't believe anything that he says. Everything he says is just straight up fascist propaganda. But he is all of the bad things Donald Trump is, except he's smart. And if I was going to worry about anybody running for president in 2028, this is the guy.
Love her. Okay, your mom does too. Any questions? Yes, sir. What do I think about amnesty for farm workers? I think it's the most grotesque thing I've ever heard. Are you joking? Amnesty for farm workers? We have like 60 million illegal aliens in the
60 million now. So just basically every brown person in the country, they're all illegal and they got to go. Yeah, look, he's wearing his brown pants too.
country. The country bears no resemblance to the country I grew up in, and it's not better, it's worse. No, Tucker. So I'm not going to sit for another lecture from anybody telling me we need to import more people to write code or pick grapes or any other task. Period. It hasn't worked. The country hasn't gotten richer. It hasn't become more unified. Those words should burn on the tongue of anyone who utters them. How dare you talk like that?
God damn, man. How fascist can you get? Seriously. Just draped in the American flag with brown pants on, talking about every brown person in the country is illegal. We need to get them out.
Amnesty. How about deportation?
By the way, Ronald Reagan, the patron saint of all Republicans, the one that all Republicans look up to, he did amnesty for, I think it was 3 million migrants working and living in the country. Boy, those times have changed, haven't they?
What about that? I mean, look, and let me just say, people say all kinds of things. It doesn't mean it's happening, but I think it's worth being a little paranoid about it. I mean, I think everyone in this room is paranoid. It's important to make sure even the people you love are true to their word.
Yeah, man, it's people like you that make them paranoid. Here's something to not be paranoid about at all.
Gordon, what is going on?
What the fuck is happening? This is ICE walking down my street. There's gotta be 50 of them. What the fuck is going on here? Holy shit.
Yo, man, they fucked up. You're not supposed to go through the suburbs, honey. You're supposed to go to blue cities. You know, that's where all the migrant criminals are hanging out, in the blue cities, you know. You can't be going through the suburbs and showing these people. You can't be going through Utah and showing these people how fascist you really are. Just unmark my dick is small, big ass trucks looking for brown people. Nothing to see here, folks. Just the Gestapo asking for papers.
I'm great, how are you? You too. I live here. This is crazy on my street. You wait.
This is
Nothing to see here, folks. Nothing at all. Detainees, immigrants at Alligator Alcatraz say that there are worms in the food, wastewater on the floor. The brand new Everglades immigrant detention facility, the officials have dubbed Alligator Alcatraz. I'm still calling it Alligator Auschwitz because it's a fucking concentration camp, people. People held there say worms turn up in the food, toilets don't flush, flooding floors with fecal waste, mosquitoes, and other insects everywhere. You know, you heard Maxwell Frost saying that somebody in the background was like, I'm a U.S. citizen, you know. No due process, just throwing them in cages because you're brown. We have become the fascist Nazi state. They're not even asking for papers. They're just grabbing you. Inside the compound, large white tents, rows of bunk beds surrounded by chain link cages. Detainees are said to go days without showering or getting prescription medication. They are only able to speak by phone to lawyers and loved ones. At times, the air conditioning abruptly shuts off, sweltering heat. I mean, keep in mind, it is the Everglades in Florida. Can only imagine how hot that is. Days after President Trump toured it, attorneys, advocates, detainees, and their relatives are speaking out about the makeshift facility, and that is what it is. It's just a fucking tent city. It's just a cage filled with people, which Republican Governor Ron DeSantis' administration raced to build on an isolated airstrip surrounded by swampland. Quote, these are human beings who have inherent rights and they have a right to dignity. And I keep having to repeat this. It doesn't matter if you're a citizen or not. You get due process. You have rights. It does not matter if you're a criminal. You get rights. If you are in various stages of paperwork, even if you have no paperwork, you still get rights. But not anymore, according to the Trump regime. They have a right to dignity, immigration attorney Josephine Arroyo said, and they are violating a lot of their rights by putting them there. During all of this, this is what Donald Trump had to say. Now, look, this is just Hollywood bullshit. I don't even think Rosie O'Donnell is in America. I believe she's in Ireland at the moment. But this is Donald Trump, how he does things where he wants to distract. He goes to his oldest foes. Rosie O'Donnell and him have always hated each other, and he felt like, you know, let's go back to this old favorite. Donald Trump reignited decades-long feud with, by the way, not letting something die. Donald Trump, oh, why doesn't Epstein die? Why can't it go away? Why? You are always bringing up the past, man. You never let shit go. I don't know what the hell you're talking about. With comedian Rosie O'Donnell on Saturday, taking to his Truth Social platform, he writes he was considering revoking her citizenship because of the fact that Rosie O'Donnell is not the best interest of our great country. It ain't that great, dog. It ain't. I am seriously considering taking away her citizenship, as if you could do that. But here's the thing. We have a Supreme Court that's letting you just run roughshod all over the Constitution. Is it possible? Yeah, I never thought that this kind of thing would be possible. I never thought that concentration camps would be possible. I certainly didn't think that we would just be talking about taking away an American-born citizen's citizenship away. I never thought we'd be at this conversation, but here we are, man. And then he ends it with, she is a threat to humanity. Rosie O'Donnell, B-list Hollywood star of Stakeout 2, is a threat to humanity and should remain in the wonderful country of Ireland if they want her. God bless America. Goddamn, man, I'm fucking disgusted. I'm just disgusted. This is, to me, the biggest problem. What we are doing to the people in this country. What we are doing what we are doing to immigrants is pure fascism. It's got to stop, folks. It's got to stop. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed what you saw, please like and subscribe. Keep rocking.